If you want to play around with Vertical Climber on the robot, then follow the link given to Heya, and it's going to take you to an assembly like this. You'll have to make a copy of it into your account before you can edit it. There are three things in here: the climber structure that we have to get up on, the main robot, and a climber arm. The climber arm is on a red plate. The red plate isn't actually part of the climber. It's just there to make it easy to drag the climber arm around. So there are a few things you can change here. One is you can drag the robot to put it wherever you want, and you can drag the climber arm to put it where you want. If you want to rotate the robot, the easiest way to do that is to click on the floor it's on here, and then grab one of these angle indicators and rotate the robot around. I'm going to undo that. You can do something similar with the arm, rotate it around however you want. Remember, we can have the robot climb in the orientation it is now with a shooter up pointing towards the climbing structure, but we could also have the intake that way or have one of the sides pointing that way. So we can come at the climbing structure any way we want to. Let me undo that hook rotation. So there's a couple things you can change about the hook in addition to dragging it and putting it wherever you want. Like if I wanted to move it into the robot here, say right in the middle, I could do that. I'm going to pull the climber arm back out of there. But there's a couple of things you can change about how the climber is located. The way it's set up by default, the base of the climber is down in the belly pan of the robot. If you wanted to raise that up, double click on this mate over here and put a negative number here to move the arm up. If I wanted to move the arm up 5 inches, I can do that. When you do that, it's also going to move the arm side to side, so you may need to click on that red plate and use its arrows to drag it back to wherever you want it to be. So that's one thing you can do. You can make the arm be higher. You really can't go any lower because it can't be any lower than the belly pan. I am going to undo that change. The other thing you might want to do is have the entire arm structure rotate or tilt. If you want to do that, click on the thing I've labeled tilt, and you can tilt to 45 degrees or 60 degrees or whatever you want. Again, let me undo that. In addition, there are things you can change about the arm itself. By default, it'll be drawn like I have it here with it retracted. If you want to see what it looks like extended, then right click on it, and actually don't right click on it, right click on it over here, change configuration. If I wanted it extended, for example, I can change this to extended. Then you have to click generate, and then you should see it extended. If you want to keep it extended, click the green check. And in addition to changing whether it's extended or not, you can change how long the tube is. So I'll shorten this up to 8 inches. Again, I change it. I have to push generate, wait until that gets regenerated over here, and then click the checkbox if I want to keep it. The final thing you can change is change configuration again. You can change which way the hook is pointing. Two things about the hook. This is not the shape hook that we'll be using. We'll be using one with a flat top so it stays better within our height limits. And the other is that in addition to the default orientation that's shown here and the reversed orientation that I just generated, we could have the hook turned 90 degrees, so halfway in between those two, so it's sort of coming out to the side if we wanted to. And if we want to have a completely custom shape of the hook, we can do that too. The way I would approach this probably is look first at where in the robot the arm might fit, and then once you're happy with that, keep a note of where that is, drag the side of the robot that you want to have by the climber over by the climber. I'm guessing we're going to want a bumper right up against the climber. We do barely fit through the bars, I think. No, we don't. Put the robot where you want it. Notice that the climber does not move along with the robot. If you figure out how to fix that, let me know. Put the climber where you want it with the angle that you want it at. Make sure that when the climber is extended, it goes over the hook. Make sure that when the climber is retracted, that not only is it below 30 inches, which is the maximum height. Let me go to the right orientation here. We want to keep it below this bar, because that bar is at just about the upper limit of what will fit underneath the trench. Couple other comments. So it's getting to be a really tight squeeze for us to get the climber onto the robot and working by Grand Forks. Even if we don't have it on the robot and working by Grand Forks, we need to have it on the robot and working by St. Cloud. So if you spend some time now and we end up not having that working by Grand Forks, you're not wasting your time. We will still get a climber on the robot. But you can see right now things are a little bit tight, and so we might have to do some redesign once we have a pretty clear climber concept to make it work for St. Cloud. For Grand Forks, we're pretty restricted in what we can change at this point. As you're checking out possible locations for things, keep that in mind. One other note, attached to the arm down here is a set of gearboxes that we'll want for climbing and a motor. And we probably cannot go down to lower stage or smaller number of stages. We probably need 3 stages so that we get a nice and big torque out of the motor.